You know how like you come back from vacation and it's really difficult to like come back? You try to go through in your mind all these different ways to make that vacation life become your permanent life. What's up, gang? I guess we just all have quarantine on the brain, or at least I do, because I just posted the other day 5 things I am doing during this quarantine. So go ahead and check out that video if you haven't checked that out yet. I'll link it right up here. I just wanted to share with you guys 5 things that I'm not doing during this quarantine, also just as relevant, you know? So first off, let me just say, if you've been enjoying my videos, I plan to make a lot more of them during this quarantine time. Just go ahead and hit the subscribe button right there, tap the bell for notifications, so that way you can get notified when I send out a new video. Let's get right into it, guys. First thing that I am not doing during this quarantine. The first thing is I am not sleeping in. I think I kind of talked about this a little bit on the last video, but like, I just want my habits to stay as on point as possible to make the transition out of the quarantine as seamless as possible. You know how like you come back from vacation and it's really difficult to like come back? You try to go through in your mind all these different ways to make that vacation life become your permanent life. You're like, how? But maybe the cost of living at that place in Belize is, you know, just really low, and maybe I could just retire now. I don't want to do that. So I'm waking up every morning early. Today, I woke up a little bit later at like 6:30, but I don't really super consider that sleeping in. So I'm still waking up early every morning, somewhere between like 5 and 6, just depending on the day, to make sure that like my body is still in the same time clock. Second thing that I'm not doing during this quarantine is I am not worrying or stressing out about anything. And that is not because I have nothing to worry or stress out about. Everybody has things to worry or stress out about. Every person has their own situations. Certainly, like, the state of the world right now is like something that you could worry or stress out about. And I see that happening a lot. You see a lot of stress right now. And again, it's not that that's not warranted. I'm not making light of somebody's situation. I guess the way that I look at it is like this. So I had a similar experience to quarantine about a year ago. It's called maternity leave. I was on maternity leave for, I think, 6 weeks. It was really similar to this. I barely left the house, you know, I had just had a C-section, so I like really wasn't even mobile for a good portion of those like 6 weeks. And, you know, obviously was just kind of like tending to everything in the house, namely the new baby. But during that time, upon reflection, I worried a lot. I worried about this new baby. I worried about how I was going to balance everything with my career and being a new mom. I worried about financial stuff because I wasn't working during that time. I worried about pretty much anything that you can think of, honestly, I worried about. Probably doesn't help that during those times your emotions are going crazy, but when I look back on that, everything was fine. Like, post maternity leave, I figured out how to time manage, no problem. Aren't so many situations like that where you worry about something and then you look back on it and you didn't need to worry about it. It wasn't that the worry didn't really help anything. I guess I just look back on it and when I think about my maternity leave, I feel like I allowed this negative energy to be a part of me and take away from that experience where I could have been treasuring that time more effectively. And so during this time, I am not going to worry about anything. I am not going to get stressed out about anything. And I'm staying steadfast to that, and I'm holding myself accountable to that. The third thing, 3, that I am not doing during this quarantine is I am not ordering any food from restaurants. I feel like this is kind of like a contentious one. I see a lot of things about like supporting local businesses. You know, obviously restaurants have been hit really hard during this time. I obviously very much sympathize with anybody in that situation. As a local business owner, I feel the same thing. So I'm not advocating that everybody got support local restaurants right now. I'm just making that personal choice for myself during this time, just regarding my eating habits. I eat out at restaurants really regularly. I cook a lot at home too. I'm just out a lot. And I have a lot of meetings per week. And so we frequently gather then over food. And even if I eat something pretty clean from the menu, a lot of restaurants you will still get just naturally more fat, larger portion size, so on and so forth, than you would normally make and create at home. So and even though I know that there's probably really clean options out there where I can get something really clean and also still support a local business, but I've just made the choice for myself. It's a personal choice that during this time, I'm home cooking every single meal. I just want to make sure that I'm being very aware of what I'm putting into my body, taking this as an opportunity to take a look at my own eating habits, obviously coupled with some of the exercise I talked on the last video, and really just kind of stay really healthy during this time. So that's just a personal choice that I made for me and subsequently therefore for my family. The fourth thing that I am not doing during this quarantine is I am not scrolling through social media. So I will say that with a little asterisk. I do hop on Twitter from time to time because I feel like I get a little bit of news from there. You know, not that I need much, but I definitely don't watch any news on TV. So, you know, I'll get a little bit of news from Twitter and that's it. I'm obviously still posting on social media a little bit, right? Here, video. But I am not scrolling through social media because that is a big time waster for most of us. I have definitely on either, you know, a day where I should be doing something more productive or an off day or whatever, gotten, you know, hooked on TikTok and looked up and it's like 45 minutes later. Or Instagram or whatever it is. And so during a quarantine where it's easy to allow 3 hours to go by doing that, I'm certainly capable of that. So as a result, I'm staying off entirely. Or again, not necessarily staying off for posting from time to time, but scrolling, like not doing it. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, little bit of Twitter for some news when something pops up or whatever. Okay, great. Not doing it. At no point during this quarantine do I want to be scrolling through a news feed on any of those apps and look up and be like, oh my gosh, I just did that for an hour, because I know how easy that is to do. And so multiply that by, again, multiple hours during a quarantine, not doing it. And the fifth thing that I am not doing during this quarantine is I am not watching any TV during the day. This is something that I would do on like a day off, you know? So if I'm just hanging around the house on like a normal Sunday, that like, you know, come home from church, and sometimes it's nice to be like, oh, I'm just gonna like watch a show for like an hour, daytime, like super day off, take advantage, relax, recharge. Well, every day is like that now, right? And so if I'm doing that every day, then that probably really quickly turns into a full day of TV. I don't want to do that. We do have, my husband and I have a couple of shows that we like that we'll watch at night. We're Walking Dead fans, we're Masked Singer fans, so we'll pop on a show at night or whatever. But yeah, I'm just limiting that stuff is like, okay, we don't turn it on during the day. And that's how we can make sure that we're still productive and doing things that we want to do. Organizing things around the house, projects around the house, you know, things we're doing for work. We can get those things done during the day, and obviously sometimes at night too, but especially daytime. So those are just some personal choices that I've made and some boundaries kind of that I've set for myself, that I've created with the intention, as I think I talked about in the last video, of coming out of this quarantine feeling like, wow, I really made the most of that time. Obviously, you do whatever works for you. You know yourself. But I think having some sort of kind of boundaries and guidelines like I've gone over, I do think that they're helpful if your goal is, again, to come out of the quarantine kind of feeling like, yeah, I made the most of that time. That's it, guys. Everybody have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourself, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, gang.